launch of the first ever route to market strategy for Kenya, which was started in partnership with all the exports ecosystem, and I wish to recognize all the players who have been part of this, starting by our sponsor, Mr. Klaus from Danish Industries, who will also be speaking to us today. Also KROBA, represented by the CEO, Ms. Floyce. Thank you so much for the support. We also have Kentrade that have been working with us. We have DHL to support the logistics ecosystem infrastructure understanding. We also had KenInvest supporting us. We had the LabSet, I've seen, helping us with corridors and how those markets will open and connect us to the rest of Africa. And many other stakeholders, KRA, that was also there in matters customs, and many other stakeholders who will be mentioned later, and also they are part of the content in the book. So I wish to welcome you this morning, and we are quite excited to offer this guideline and toolkit for us to be able to have a look and have a collaborative approach in how we then drive export performance in this country. Without much ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Klaus from Danish Industry to give his welcome remarks or key remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Habarizeno. Good morning, everybody. Your Excellencies, dear friends in industry, other stakeholders. Today is a really great day for us. We're happy to sponsor the launch of the Route to Market strategy, the first of its kind. As Danish Industry, we've always worked with this for 150 years, coming out of a small exporting economy. We know that the route to growth is through export, and we've been a happy partner with CAM for plus 20 years now. And what's been happening the last few years in terms of ramping up trade and CAM pushing the agenda on the SMEs leading the charge in terms of export growth is exactly what we feel is also needed for Kenya as a country. The bread and butter for most economies are the SMEs. They're the ones driving the economy. They need guidance, they need assistance to reach the markets. This is why this strategy is coming in very timely. It's coming in at a time where Kenya just signed last year a very large trade deal with the European Union, the EPA, which was renewed. The EPA provides a magnificent vehicle for Kenyan manufacturers to reach the 27 EU markets in a much more detailed, elaborate way. We've spent the last 9 months touring around Kenya with MITI, with 8 BMOs, creating awareness about what's in the trade agreement with the European Union. We met with more than 800 Kenyan manufacturers on that roadshow around the 7 regions of Kenya. So we listened to the companies on the roadshow. We know what you need. A lot of what you demanded as companies was guidance. The European Union, for example, is seen as a market that's difficult to access. We need to assist companies to get there. So as you'll hear the presentation about the route to market strategy, it's about how do we create very simple steps for SMEs that don't have a lot of time to read very dense documents, to just click one place so they know exactly where to get their certificate of origin. They know who to contact at government, they know who to contact at BMO level, and they know how and who to reach in Europe, for example, as a market. I'm not saying only Europe. This goes for EAC, many other markets. This is a universal guide, right? But I'm a bit biased, of course, being from a European country. So this is what it's about. SMEs, they need a handheld approach, because we know that you represent small entities, maybe from 10 staff up to 50 to 100, small managements. It has to be assisted. And now, having worked with CAM for more than 20 years, we tease CAM a bit, saying, so Tobias, when are you going to put staff on the ground in Kampala, Dar es Salaam, Brussels, the big markets where you're actually exporting to? Because we know that having a face on the other side really works. If a Kenyan company can call up a familiar face, in Europe, for example, it goes a long way for the cultural translation and to get into that market, right? So this is what we've been practicing as Danish Industry for 25 years. For our members, it's super valuable to have a phone number, somebody you can call sitting in Kenya, for example, and say, how do I access this market? How do I find partners? We know this works, and we know that's the way to go also for Kenya in terms of ramping up exports. In 3 weeks, we are super excited. We'll have the EU-Kenya Business Forum coming again. Now we have the vehicle, we have the EPA in place. There's a huge buzz about this trade forum coming up. I just learned from the EU delegation yesterday there's more than 600 companies have signed up already. So it's going to be the biggest of its kind ever. We have more than 8 trade delegations coming from Europe to Nairobi for this event. They're coming to meet with companies like yourselves. There will be a B2B app running behind the conference so you can pre-book meetings with companies that are in your sector. So this is going to be a big splash, and it shows that there's momentum, that the EPA agreement is real. There are real opportunities to be achieved in the EPA agreement. I'll leave it at that, and just to say I'm very excited about today, and thank you so much for coming. Asanteni.
Thank you, Klaus. My shoe is made in Kenya, from butter. From butter. And my jacket is also made in Kenya. My dress also made in Kenya, Vivo. Today we are promoting made in Kenya products, if you didn't know. So please hand clap to Klaus. And we are really proud of the partnership we've had with the Danish Industries. For more than 20 years, we've worked closely in promoting business associations and how they support industries to grow and be competitive from a global arena. And we are quite grateful. We've worked a lot on developing export tools, and we've gone around the country supporting SMEs on export preparedness and also giving them tools to help them identify their market opportunities, their product diversification opportunities, and then access different markets. And I know we are going to work more and more. Currently, we are looking at expanding on the implementation strategy for EU market access, like he has said. So we really appreciate Danish Industries has come. We're also looking to be globally competitive in how we approach industrial development. So we are still waiting for our chief guest. He's about to come, but maybe I could just, for those who have just joined us, to know that we are unveiling the route to market strategy, which is our first in Kenya, and it is aligned with the national industrialization goals, where we are looking to grow export-led industrialization in this country and access the different markets around EAC, COMESA, African continental markets, AGOA, and others. So we have a bold vision already set out in our export-led growth strategy at CAM, which we also developed last year. And this route to market strategy is an annex of this export-led growth strategy, which is a call to action for all of us. It's about supporting Kenya to make a strategic shift and grow our trajectory on our targets for exports. And also, it's a vision which we share, all of us, which our CEO will also talk about, creating prosperity for our nation. But really, this is about enhancing export competitiveness for sustainable industrialization. We want to expand the footprint of manufacturing and also make sure that made in Kenya products are not only a mark of origin, but also excellence of products and services that we share here locally through programs and festivals that we have, like Changamka Festival, where we showcase made in Kenya products and encourage Kenyans to consume those products locally. So we have to start by, first of all, enjoying our own products here, then take them to the region and to the global market. And there are Kenyans all over the world. So we want the Kenyans in the US to appreciate Kenyan-made products and then spread the word to the rest of America. If it's Africa, the Kenyans all over Africa must also do the same, so that people can see that we ourselves are proud of what we have here in Kenya, besides the aspects of job creation and the opportunities it gives us to expand our economic growth. So this really is a guide towards collaboration across the ecosystem, and we have all our partners here to speak. And at this point, I would like to invite the CEO of KROBA, Ms. Floyce. Please, Floyce, join us on stage. Thank you. A better hand clap for Ms. Floyce, please. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. I'm really encouraged that you're all made in Kenya, but just to tell you that made in Kenyan products are high quality and authentic. They don't create mishaps on the steps, as Joyce was alluding. So thank you, members. Allow me to now move to the prepared speech, and I begin by acknowledging the presence of our host, Mr. Tobias Alando, the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya Association of representing our PS, Mr. Michael Mandu. I would like to recognize the presence of Mr. Klaus Christensen, Danish Industry East Africa, as well as the country representative of UNIDO, Madam Tali. Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to join you all in this launch, the Route to Market strategy. Let me start by presenting my compliments and those of Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency to the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and the Danish Industry East Africa for your efforts in developing this forward-looking strategy. The launch of this Route to Market strategy 2025 to 2027 is both timely and strategic as Kenya intensifies its efforts to diversify and deepen its export footprint. The strategy offers a practical guide for Kenyan manufacturers and exporters to overcome barriers in accessing international markets, ranging from trade compliance to logistic bottlenecks. At Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, our mandate aligns strongly with the objectives of this strategy. We are mandated to promote Kenya's exports through product and market development and market entry facilitation. To this end, we continuously work to identify, develop, and promote Kenyan products and services that meet global standards. We equally support SMEs and large exporters alike through capacity building, export readiness programs, product adaptation support, and international market linkages. By focusing on digital trade and encouraging inclusive growth, the strategy reinforces the principles of resilience, sustainability, and competitiveness. At KROBA, we have equally embraced digitalization in our delivery service, from our exporters portal, which is a buyer-seller platform, to digital market campaigns and virtual exhibitions, and B2B matchmaking platforms. For instance, to demonstrate the power of digital trade, the agency coordinated the Kenya's participation in Markfood Digital 2020 virtual exhibition in Italy, where 10 exporters of horticultural products were facilitated to exhibit in the virtual exhibition, and sales worth 2.178 million US dollars, which is the equivalent of Kenya shillings 235 million, were realized. In the recent past, we have conducted B2B matchmaking, particularly with Chinese buyers, and this has contributed to increased exports of horticultural products to China, such as avocado. Further, the agency's exporters portal leverages on technology and innovation to promote and enhance market access for Kenyan products by providing a platform for Kenyan exporters to showcase their products and link with regional and international buyers to conduct business. Allow me also to acknowledge the presence of our chief guests, PS Juma Mukwana, Karibu. As I now revert back to the speech, where we are now looking at the route of market strategy we are launching today, as a complement to our export promotion initiatives at KROBA, as well as other national initiatives, and at maximizing our utilization of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, our EAC agreement, our COMESA, the UK and EU trading frameworks. To maximize our export potential as a country, Continued collaboration between public and private sector is key. And I'm pleased to note that KROBA and CAM have a collaboration framework that focuses on, among other things, joint capacity building and product development programs, technical support for exporters on product compliance and branding, market intelligence and information sharing, market linkages, and the promotion of the Made in Kenya initiatives. As we launch this strategy, allow me to reiterate KROBA's commitment to working hand in hand with all partners to realize the full potential of Kenyan exports. In this regard, the agency is spearheading Kenya's participation in the Expo 2025 Osaka, Japan, which started on 13th April 2025 and ends with on 13th October 2025. During this expo, Kenya will be positioning itself as a source of high-quality products and services and the destination of choice for tourism and investment opportunities, as well as showcasing its innovative solutions that have directly contributed to improving lives. The climax of Kenya's participation in the expo will be the Kenya Week celebration that is slated for 22nd to 26th of June 2025. Notably, the events that Kenya will be undertaking during the Kenya Week celebrations include the Kenya Expo Run, which is a mini run, the Kenya National Day of Honor, a cultural performance, and diaspora networking dinner. And then, most importantly to the audience here, is the Kenya-Japan High-Level Business Forum. We therefore look forward to working with all stakeholders. Kenya's participation in the Expo are rounding success. Let me close by once again commending the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and all its partners for this milestone. Together, let us position the brand Kenya as a globally competitive and reliable source of quality exports. I thank you once again. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. A big hand clap for Floyce. Thank you so much. That is KROBA, represented by the CEO, Floyce Mukabana. We appreciate the partnership that we had with your institution, and the technical team from KROBA sat with us throughout the process of developing this strategy. I wish to also just announce we have a hashtag, route to market. Maybe Silas will put it somewhere on the screen because it has route with the capital R, and then 2 is a number 2, and then market. Hashtag route to market. Please, this document is not ours only, it's for all Kenyans to adopt. Let's help us spread this through the hashtag so that we can have more and more people understanding it, and eventually we'll also go around the country to share this strategy so that people can be able to utilize it and enjoy it. So the strategy, of course, is a guiding collaboration for the ecosystem players in exports. So all stakeholders involved in exports, whether private sector, public sector, development partners, all of you are part of this ecosystem, and this should give us a practical approach on how then to collaborate and drive export performance for this country. And we look forward to getting feedback on its approach. It's a 3-year strategy, 2025 to 2027, and thereafter we've aligned it PS with the current regime. Thereafter, we'll adopt new approaches depending on the next period. And at this point, I want to acknowledge that our chief guest, PS, has arrived, and we are grateful for the partnership. This is with the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. So at this point, I wish to invite the Acting Secretary Trade, Michael Mandu. He says, I don't get what that means. He has to give brief remarks. He's giving me a sign. I think I need to learn sign language because I can't interpret what sign he's telling me. But I wish to invite Michael Mandu, an old friend. We have gone round African markets together. Initially he was in foreign affairs, now he's in trade. And we've jointly worked on a lot of trade promotion initiatives, and I value the support that we have enjoyed through him at Foreign Affairs and now at the State Department of Trade. And as he comes, I wish to say and acknowledge that this route to market strategy was birthed in Kinshasa with the PS Trade then, Mr. Alfred Kombudo, who said, you know what, let's just give Kenyans a guideline that could help them, or where we could have a harmonized approach on how we approach different markets. Initially, we thought we could just do a route to Kinshasa. Then we said, no, let's keep it top line, and then people can adapt according to the regions and the markets and the products that they are promoting at their own pace. But for now, we kept it top line. Michael Mandu. A big hand clap for Michael Mandu. I hope he doesn't use sign language on stage, because I didn't understand it. Come.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was trying to warn her, but she refused to heed the warning. There's a very good saying in Kiswahili that jogoo wa shambani hawiki mjini. And just maybe to make it clear, where we have the spurious, the PSS, the small guys don't speak. And that's what I was warning her. So I will just limit myself to greeting you people and to thank PS Muhwana for gracing this occasion. To thank you, Joyce. I first met Joyce when we had gone on some assignment in Maputo. And CEO Tobias Alando, thank you for inviting us. I know we went different schools. That also call him Tobias, others call him Tobias, whichever you choose, but I'll call him Tobias. Madam Flois Mukabana from KROBA, Klaus from Danish Industry. We met with him around the EPA, and I caused him to go around this country. The only place he did not go is my home village, because he would have gotten lost in that place. And thank you, Madam Tali from UNIDO, for gracing this occasion. Mine is only to bring greetings from my PS, Madam Regina Ombam, who only began her in office yesterday. And therefore, when this letter came, she marked it to me at 6 p.m. And you can imagine that I went through 6 p.m. I'm supposed to be here at 8 a.m. So my mind was all over the place. And then thankfully, Joyce decided to bring a lot of rain in the morning so that we could be rained on as we come here, so that maybe we can grow a bit taller because of the rain. But mine is not just to appreciate you are coming here and to note that whatever things are happening in this forum today, the State Department for Trade is strongly behind them. That the success of this, the manufacturing sector, is Kenya's success in every aspect. And if you looked back, whether it was the Big Four agenda or right now the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, manufacturing stands out. Why? Because we believe, and I believe PS Muhwana will talk about this, that it's manufacturing that can turbocharge an economy in terms of job creation, in terms of producing quality products, and in terms of competing with the rest of the world. And to look back at this route to market strategy is very important for us, that a time has come for us to embrace technology in the way we produce, in the way we market our products. And I think we have a lot to learn from countries like South Korea, countries like China. You know that the creators or the founders of the Industrial Revolution were Europe. But now the biggest manufacturing exporters are coming from the Southeast Asia. It is China, it is South Korea, it is India, and what have you. What is it that they have learned from the founders, which they are doing better than the founders are doing? And therefore, what is it that we can learn as a Kenyan manufacturing sector to do exactly that? Remember that in the 80s, if you went to Tanzania, you went to Uganda, you thought you were in mini Kenya because all the products were actually manufactured from Kenya. But right now, those guys are building their own factories, their own industries, meaning then that also competing with us in the markets that we're exporting to. If you went to South Sudan now, most of the products are from Uganda, not from Kenya. There must be a reason why. So in that scenario then, digitalization becomes very, very important in how we produce and how we market our products. And because my superior is here, I don't want to speak into his speech. Permit me to stop there, and I wish you a very, very good day and a good deliberations. Thank you very much, Joyce, but you will fight when we meet when the PS is not here, because you cannot cause me to speak before him. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A big Michael Mandu, Secretary Trade. I like it when people say we'll fight, because it means they're interested in the relationship. If someone doesn't challenge you to a fight, they are not interested. So I'm very happy when I hear such things. Thank you, Michael Mandu. And the strategy, really, the goal is very simple. It is to ensure that our efforts are aligned, our actions are harmonized, and our impact is multiplied. That really is a goal for this strategy. So when we coordinate our export promotion and facilitation efforts and streamline trade processes where we are relying on State Department of Trade, and also build strong and consistent nation branding strategies through KROBA and other partners, then we will transform Kenya into a formidable export powerhouse, not just locally, but regionally and globally. So that's the idea. That's really the rallying call here. We harmonize our efforts. And CAM is ready, PS. We've been around for 64 years, surely. We must have some form of capacity that can give us a good baseline to then plan for the next 60 years. I know we talk of 2023, so that is 30, is it, how many years away? 38 years away. Kenya is planning for the next, I don't know how many years, so I'm just saying the next 60 years, since 2030 is only 5 years away, and I'm sure we'll be looking at another longer term vision. But as CAM, we are ready to plan for the next 60 years. That's what we keep saying. As we celebrated the 60 years 4 years ago, we said we are now planning for the next 60 years. And with that, I wish to invite the CAM Chief Executive, Mr. Tobias Alando, to give us a story of CAM, where we are coming from and where we are headed. Karibu, Tobias. A big clap. Let's encourage Tobias. Thank you so much.
Joyce, we don't have a fight with you, fortunately. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Please ask your neighbor, what are they ready to export? And let them give you an answer. I can see the smiles. We do not want to have just conversations. We want action. So you're seated here because by the end of the day, launch this route to market strategy, then you need to export. It's not conversation anymore. To our chief guest, PS Mkwana, who has been supportive of the industry, thank you very much for gracing this occasion. Our partner, Klaus, the Confederation of Danish Industries, we've done a lot with DI for many years. In fact, CAM has really grown because of the different support that we have received from the Confederation of Danish Industries. So we appreciate this partnership that we've had. Our friend Tali, good partner from UNIDO, we also appreciate your presence. KROBA, Madam Floys has always worked with us and worked with the businesses. We also appreciate this partnership. I want to say that we are given an opportunity. The government has done their bit. They have signed a couple of trade agreements. And now the ball is on our court. And that is why I ask you to ask your neighbor, what are you going to export? The route to market strategy 2025-2027 is a great step forward for this nation, for the businesses in this nation. It's an opportunity for Kenya to position itself as a formidable player in the global trade through the route to market strategy. As you know, our purpose as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers is to create prosperity for the nation through sustainable industrialization. We want to create employment. The only way we create employment is the industries that have been established here operate and employ. And the next step is now finding market. And what we are doing today is aligned with our overall strategy in the manufacturing priority agenda that focuses on 4 key areas. 1 is the global competitiveness. 2 is export-led growth, and this is why we're having this conversation to promote our exports. 3 is SME development, and majority of you are SMEs. A majority of our members, 60% are SMEs. We want to promote export-led growth. We want to support SME development because the SME are the future and the backbone of any manufacturing sector. The 4th pillar, which is aligned to what we are doing today, is agriculture for industry. Value addition and linkages between farmers, the processors, the industries, and finally to export. So that linkage is very, very important for us. The launch of the route to market strategy today is a major leap forward for us as a country, particularly realizing our 2nd pillar of the manufacturing priority agenda, which is on export-led growth. Many people call us and say, okay, now how do we access these markets? And that's why DI and the rest of the team came on board and say, okay, we have an opportunity to access European market. The question is, how do you access market? How do you access those markets? And this is a conversation we're going to have through the presentation that we'll invite Joyce to make, to take us into details, into overall strategy and the opportunities to access this market. By the end of next year, we want to hear testimonials. We want to hear testimonies from each and every player involved that have exported such and such amount to country Y or country X. We want to promote exports. We want to diversify in fact, out of the 4 pillars, 1 is market diversification. Intention of the route to market is market diversification and trade agreement. The other pillar is about compliance. How do you comply with the standards that are required in those markets to promote sustainability? We do not want to have fly-by-night exporters. You export today, you make good money, then the next order you cannot sustain. So we are talking about how do we promote sustainability. We're talking about also how we enhance our export and diversification. Traditionally, we've exported 2 major products, coffee and tea. We will continue to export that, but there is a lot that we can also export. So diversification is really crucial for us. The 4th pillar around the route to market is digital preparedness in terms of trade intelligence, using data to know what is required, where it is required, when it is required, and how can I take it there. The last one is financial reliance, in terms of linkages with other financiers to support you, because yes, I have gotten a market I want to export, but I do not have the funds. So we are working with other partners in that route to ensure that you get financial support. We are also working with the logistical players who will move your goods from Kenya to the other destination that you have identified. The route to market strategy 2025-2027, it is not just a document. It is a Kenya trade compass, a blueprint of transformation. So everybody here will get a compass. The question is, do you know how to read that compass to take you to where you want to go? So read the compass. It shows you the direction. If it is Denmark, we are all going to Denmark. You're not clapping. Klaus is saying yes. If the market is in Denmark, we all go to where? To Denmark. If it is UK, we go to UK. But use your compass well. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for gracing this occasion. And I want to encourage us that let it not be just a conversation, but out of here, put it within yourself that I want to export, and I will export, and I will get the necessary support towards exporting. Before we invite the chief guest, I want to invite Joyce to make a presentation about what we are doing today, and then let us engage. I thank you. You can clap for me.
Okay, a bigger hand clap for Tobias. He has given the promise from the manufacturing sector. And I know later KROBA, I'm sure you'll engage other stakeholders because it's a big ecosystem. And what we are saying is that we need all of us to participate. It's a rallying call to the export ecosystem, and it's quite big. So I'll make a quick presentation on the route to market strategy and also the Exporter Toolkit 2025. And the theme we have put here is enhancing export competitiveness for sustainable industrialization. And the vision really for us is to position Kenya as Africa's premier exporter of high value sustainable goods. By 2027, people should see Kenya on the map. I know you have been told your own campus, your own map, but we want Kenya to be seen on the map, not just in Africa, but globally, as a producer of high quality goods, sustainable goods, and also an export player. Also, our mission is to empower Kenyan exporters. You heard that there's a lot of empowerment programs that are being built here, where we need partners like UNIDO. Tali has just assured me she has good funding. So we'll be running quickly when we have such support, but also to acknowledge that we work closely with UNIDO, and we're in the process of developing a new program, and I'm sure this will be part of it, so that we can implement quickly. I want to also recognize Japan. Japanese embassy, we have Hiroshi here. We've already worked very closely actually on enhancing productivity and MSMEs through a partnership with JICA and the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, and currently the Ministry of MSME, and we are proud of that support. They are also helping us strengthen the MSME development ecosystem. So we are looking to empower Kenyan exporters, and one of the areas of empowerment is enhancing compliance, product diversification, market diversification, and also digitization as we look at the global trends that are all focused on really a digitally empowered economy. Our alignment is with the current vision 2030, also the current government manifesto, BETA, and MTP4. Those are already commitments put and resources availed for us to also align and be able to drive exports. When we look at Kenya's export landscape, We are looking at the economic contribution. Our sector contributes approximately 7.2% to GDP and employing 1.5 million individuals. Major industries include horticulture, which has been generating about 1.2 billion annually. We have tea, which is also huge, and KROBA has just informed me they are going to launch a big strategy around tea. Then we have coffee, we have the textiles and apparels, and a lot of discussion is ongoing around the markets that are either going to expand or be diminished depending on the global dynamics currently. We have emerging sectors, the issues of halal certified products. We have mineral exports also emerging, and a lot of untapped potential in areas like titanium and others, soda ash and others, where we already have a big resource base here in Kenya. In terms of market concentration, over 65% of exports are destined for EU, US and EAC member states, Uganda being the highest to taking up our local produced, fully produced products. That's why Uganda is important to us. They don't take up much of raw materials, they take up the produced products, meaning that it's a good market for Kenya to expand on value addition and the rest of Africa. Also highlighting the need for market diversification into the rest of Africa because of logistical opportunities as we look at the rest of the world. We have challenges, of course, that exporters have been facing. Inefficiencies around our logistics. We are not so competitive compared to the rest of the world. High transport costs and non-tariff barriers. Even just to go to our neighbor here in Tanzania, we have some non-tariff barriers that could really be cleaned up by the ministry and the government, and also limited access to affordable credit in matters trade and exports. The opportunities we've seen, the most recent being AFCFTA that offers a transformative opportunity for us here, not just to make Kenya a hub for investments for Africa, but also intra-Africa trade and market expansion. And we are looking at opportunities for joint ventures, accessing raw materials, and generally producing for Africa. And even as we become one market as Africa, and one production house as Africa to access the rest of the world. So AFCFTA is a big deal in how we approach it, how we organize ourselves to take advantage of that big opportunity. We're also looking at global trends, increasing demand for sustainable products, ethically sourced products, driven by initiatives like the EU Green Deal and the US Climate Act. So there's a lot of pressure for this, and we are ready for this PS as industries. We have already been aligned in how we are driving our sustainability initiatives. We already have Center for Green Growth and Climate Change that's at the forefront of driving this. Center for Energy Efficiency that has been promoting energy investments in energy efficiency and renewable energy, has been there for over 20 years. And now we want to harness this base to make sure that all industries, including the small businesses, are empowered to grow sustainably. We have the strategic pillars which Tobias alluded to. When we look at trade agreement utilization, we are not doing well as a country. So these route to market strategies to help us really have a harmonized approach on how we approach each market where there's a trade agreement. A lot of effort. I remember Pierre saying that somebody's like having a market out there, marketing everything, and the factory is closed. I didn't forget that. But the factory is not closed. We are now saying this factory needs to build its capabilities to access these markets. But they can't do it alone. That's why this is a rallying call for all stakeholders to play this game together at the same time, to be able to utilize these opportunities in the trade agreements as we diversify markets. So we are leveraging on the regional opportunities, continental opportunities, and the global opportunities. Also identifying high potential markets, prioritizing integration into the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also capitalizing on preferential access and agreements like AGOA. We're also not doing very well in terms of AGOA, except for apparel, garments section. We are not doing very well in the rest of the 6,000 products. The EU EPA also, we did a whole year round of sensitization across the country, and now we have an implementation strategy that we are looking to implement together with DI and the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, and also the Kenya UAE SEPA. So there are so many agreements, some of them not mentioned here, but including Ethiopia here, where we have a special status agreement. We are also looking at South Africa, Egypt, even just our brothers and sisters in this African continent. We are looking to really take advantage of all these opportunities that have been opened up by government. The second pillar being digital preparedness and trade intelligence. We've also supported SMEs to access different trade intelligence tools to understand trade analytics so that we can be able to make better decisions and address capacity building gaps, technology adoption challenges that are faced by our exporters. Also digitizing compliance processes, PS. We realize the processes are so many, from customs to KRA to, all these other places, the ports. There's so much wastage of not only time, but also money. So if we digitize all these compliance processes, the way we have done with Huduma and eCitizen and others, I don't need to leave my house to get a license. How can we enhance this? It will encourage more and more exporters to actually approach these markets and move with efficiency. So we are forging data-driven decision making, and we are hoping once we digitize PS, the government will improve in the trade statistics that they share with us. That will be more real time. We don't have to wait 2-3 years to hear what has happened like yesterday. So it will help us also leverage on new emerging technologies and enhance capacity building, even through online training opportunities where you can just go to a course. If your problem is simply making deals, how do you close a deal? You can go online, Google how to close a deal. Who should support you financially for different financial instruments? You go online. The third pillar is compliance, sustainability and standards, elevating the quality and marketability of Kenyan exports. I know KROBA alluded to that. As we promote a Kenyan brand, it should really be a mark of quality and make it more, the brand position to be quite high so that we are marketable. When people hear this is made in Kenya, they buy because of just that brand name. So that's what we are looking to promote as we meet the stringent international benchmarks. Also streamlining certification processes. We've been having KEBs also in the meetings, helping us to understand the different challenges around the certification processes, and would like them streamlined in a way that they are easily acceptable and harmonized across Africa. If I want to take my products to Ethiopia, they should not have any hurdle along the way. All the way from here to Ethiopia one day, my products should be in Addis in 2 days without complications in matters, certifications or others. So that mutual recognition and also how we harmonize with international processes. Capacity building programs on aligning national standards with international requirements and promoting sustainable and ethical sourcing. Here it includes traceability and making sure that there's equal pay for all the people. We provide equity in how we support even the farmers and all the players in the value chain. The other area is Pillar 4, financial resilience and risk mitigation. We also identified this. How do you fortify financial stability of the exporters so that they can be able to mitigate a lot of the risks? And the processes are quite many, and some of them are addressed actually in the exporters toolkit. Also facilitating grants that can support exporters, especially SMEs, technical assistance grants, subsidies, and also partnerships with financial institutions. And when we do our trade missions, we've always had a financial partner working with us. They are very good in promoting due diligence in market because these people are their customers, they have accounts with them, and they are quite clear on where their premises are. They have done know your customer due diligence. So it's quite easy for them to connect us with the right partners on the ground. And also offering risk mitigation tools like the export credit insurance and the credit guarantee schemes that can support exports. In terms of objectives, we are looking to increase the number of Kenyan exporters accessing regional and global markets. We also want to focus on diversifying export products and reducing reliance on traditional markets. You've seen some markets can close overnight from some of these geopolitics, and we want to diversify in a way that we anchor ourselves and minimize risks across the globe. We also want to enhance compliance with international standards and certifications and ensure Kenyan products meet the quality and safety requirements of each target market. Also promote the adoption of digital technologies. We've been partnering with GIZ in promoting e-commerce across Pan-African trade regimes, and this has also been a useful exercise for the last 2 years, going around the country, enhancing digital trade, and then supporting exporters to acquire the knowledge and skills to utilize e-commerce platforms. Also enhancing efficiency, productivity, and market reach through these digital tools. We are looking to also improve access to affordable financing for exporters and enable investment in production, capacity and capabilities, compliance, and market entry strategies. Promote sustainable and ethical practices, and some of which I had already said, which are aligned with global consumer preferences, and also enhance the competitiveness of Kenyan exports. In terms of stakeholder collaboration, which is really the big rallying call today, we look to foster strong partnerships between exporters, cooperatives, government agencies, private sector players, and development partners, and create a cohesive ecosystem that supports export growth. So those are really the objectives, expected outcomes and impact: economic diversification, shift from raw commodity exports to high-value processed goods such as essential oils, dried foods, packaged beverages, and the target really is to double the share of processed exports by 2028, which will end on in 2027, 2028. We received the report. In terms of job creation, increase employment opportunities, particularly in rural areas, enhance the utilization of special economic zones. Also focus on the agri-processing hubs, like what we are doing with the KIPES. Make sure they are highly utilized, and also drive green industries to create jobs for also our youth, our women, and any other person who's been marginalized over time. We're also looking to drive sustainability leadership, positioning Kenya as Africa's leading exporter of carbon neutral and ethically sourced goods. Also achieve a significant reduction in export-related emissions by 2030. I hope you're aware in the EU, we heard they're going to be measuring the carbon footprint and adding a cost to it. So this is serious. When we say we want to reduce the emissions, it also has a premium to the price and also an opportunity to access markets better. So it gives us a competitive edge. So we also want to promote initiatives that include carbon neutral certification, drive green logistics, which we've already started as an agenda also with GIZ, and promoting circular economy in our industries and generally, not just in manufacturing, but also in all the ecosystem players. The other outcome expected is regional integration, deepening Kenya's role as a regional trade hub by leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also double the annual inter-Africa trade by 2027. That is like moving it to 30%, which will still be quite low compared to, of course, Europe, who are at 67% in terms of inter-EU trade and the rest. So we are committing for the next 3 years to double, not just as all of us stakeholders. We must have shared responsibility in how we drive this. Nobody can do this work alone. That's really the message today. And then focus on sectors that are fast moving, like construction, materials, and food security. This is key across Africa. It's not unique to Kenya. Everybody, if you go around Africa, everybody is investing in construction, whether it is roads, whether it's industrial parks, whether it's water ecosystems. All that is still under construction all over Africa. We were in Ethiopia just the other day and we were wondering. It has been under construction for 5 years. But this year, the reality of what they are building is now visible. When we went there, last year when we were there was still a lot of, mabatis covering the buildings. But this year when we went, we were surprised. It has opened up and it looks quite, especially Addis Ababa and the rest of Africa. Kenya as well. We are very strong in infrastructure development and affordable housing and other investments. And food security being an issue of priority for all human beings. We must eat. So it's a basic need. So that will always be a demand. The other outcome is international market expansion. We want to strengthen ties with traditional partners, the EU, and we are proud that EU is well represented here. Middle East, US, And we expect that we shall have high growth in those emerging markets like China and India. And we already have partnerships with those countries as well. And another outcome is utilization of these trade agreements. Export competitiveness, we wish to enhance it as we improve compliance and all the other issues I had mentioned earlier. We're also looking to have inclusive growth where everybody feels they are part of this export agenda. We capacity build them and make sure that jobs are created out of this so that everyone is interested in growing, not just exports. When you grow exports, it starts by growing local industries. So we need industries in Kenya building their capabilities, expanding in a way, the investments in a way that they can then access those export markets. But as I said earlier, we must also be consumers of our own products here in Kenya, and that's why programs like Changamka are there to help you buy Kenyan products so that you are first proud of your own products before you tell the rest of the world to buy them. And lastly, sustainable economic development, and we hope to see that our share of exports grows. The other issue for us then is first to know that this is not a one-size-fits-all. It's a flexible, empowering guide that needs you where you are and helps you to grow from where you are. So you identify your value chain, identify the market through the tools that we have provided, the market intelligence tools, and then use some of this approach to also build your own enterprise export strategy. So this, we've given it a national appeal so that it's a top-line guideline that can help trade facilitation agencies, governments, and other players to harness the information there. But also at company level, at the enterprise level, you need your own export strategy. So you'll use this and then drive your own strategy, which you'll be responsible for. And hopefully later we can go sector by sector to assess the potential and the ambitions that we can have for each sector depending on the different markets and what has been opened up. And together we can work towards accessing those markets as we share the responsibility of export performance and also a future that we all benefit from. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish to also share the export guide. This guide is an improvement from what currently exists. So the route to market strategy is a first in Kenya, but the export guide has existed through KROBA, and we looked at some of the details and said, let's improve on this for the next 3 years, and then it can be harnessed for different value chains and improved. So the export guide overview, which is also a toolkit that we are going to share with you, is more practical and hands-on experience on operational strategies on how then you can export. So the purpose really is designed to help Kenyan exporters and cooperatives navigate the international trade. We have key components like documentation requirements, compliance requirements, logistics and transportation requirements. We also have the digital tools there and the platforms. We have the EAC e-tariff software that you can use to check where your tariff structure is, your HS codes. We have KenTrade also, who have a trade-related information portal, which you'll get a link to that portal. We have ITC tools there also, and also Selina Wamoshi. And I forgot to say that we've been working closely with Margaret. Did we mention Margaret? Margaret, please stand. Margaret has been also our consultant. Please, Margaret, also, those who are not aware, former PS Trade. Please, let's clap for Margaret. So we've worked closely with her on developing this, and when she was mentioning Selina Wamoshi, I was asking, are people really using this toolkit? Who knows about it? But it connects exporters to global buyers. We are not saying these are the only tools. If you have other tools you are using and they are working for you, bring them and we shall include them here, because tools are for everybody to learn from, and then you can do your own analytics. And we can make these tools also sustainable. If these tools are not utilized, then they are challenged in making them sustainable, and they have to prove that they're adding value to exporters. Then sector-specific strategies. We have the horticulture, some of which have already been defined, textiles and apparel, especially for AGOA. We have tea and coffee and processed foods. It has also support and resources there. And one of the things here we were saying, government needs to come out with a serious huduma, which is for exporters. I know it is said it is here or there, launched the other day or the other day, but as Tobias said, it's not about launching. What we need is evidence of utilization of this support office. And we had said it should be actually anchored in the ministry, so that the ministry mobilizes all stakeholders around exports, because they're in different aspects of government. And then people can go there and get support and export to the markets that they need. And maybe you can look for a lead agency, whether it's KROBA, we don't know. We are just saying, government, please. I know KRA said they'll have a desk for export. But who is mobilizing all these exporters and making sure they're accessing these resources so that we can jointly drive this export performance? We also are looking at case studies and best practices, so examples of successful export models, and then next steps on the guides outlining the tools and platforms that people can utilize. And we have commitment from CAM, commitment from KROBA, we have commitment from Ken Invest, we have commitment from even the support system through the consultancy network that we have at CAM to make sure that we make progress. So we have, of course, a call to action. And first, before I say this call to action, as we build the resilience of Kenyan industries, we also want the people to believe in Kenyan products. And I'm reminded of a timeless proverb, African proverb. It is also in the Bible, but also many other people talk about it. If you want to go fast, what do? You go alone. And is that what we want? Is that sustainable? But if you want to go far, we go together. And that's what we are doing today. It's a rallying call. Let's go together. People have been running fast, others slow, others mark timing on a wait and see attitude. We are saying everybody must pull their weight, and let's work together so that these strategies are a bridge that brings us together. So with this strategy, we need action, because strategy without action is just a potential filed somewhere in a drawer. But now we want to move from potential to actualizing performance so that we can move with urgency and with unity and deliver with excellence as the nation Kenya. So we are proudly saying to the world, Kenya is not just exporting goods, we're exporting also value, greatness, and we are well equipped for excellence as we use these toolkits. And so, in call to action for us, government, please streamline policies. We know there are so many policies. Today is not a day to discuss all those issues, but we know that there are different and fiscal, especially fiscal policies that are affecting our competitiveness. We also want a predictable environment where policies are predictable, and I know we've been talking about a 3-year plan, just like the expenditure plan. Would want also a plan that gives us, especially the fiscal plan. We would like you to put more effort in promoting regional integration, especially through the embassies that you have. How do we align with those commercial offices in the embassies globally, so that we can utilize the Made in Kenya approach or strategy to ensure that we are competitive globally and we are accessing those markets. So we need an enabling policy environment. For private sector, please invest in digitization, invest in value chain development. You know your value chains. We are saying get into serious product innovations. Consumers are changing their preferences every day. We need to innovate continuously. We need to diversify, and we need to scale. So as we innovate, we scale. So our innovation must be scalable. It must be also acceptable in the markets. For the exporters, adopt this route to market strategy. Those who are not exporting, start exporting and making sure your products are ready for exports. Utilize the guidelines we've provided and toolkits. So there are so many links you can use there to access much more information. And I know we agreed with Margaret. Once we launch this, we can always improve on this based on the feedback we get as you implement this strategy. So we call on you to identify your target markets, niche markets, new markets that nobody knows about that can give you high value. And then for other partners like development partners, we are saying let's collaborate for capacity building, financing opportunities, and infrastructure development, whether it's IT infrastructure, road infrastructure, logistics infrastructure, all kinds of infrastructure. And for all stakeholders, let's strengthen investment promotion trade development and export market development ecosystem. So all players, let's meet continuously. We are hoping we can have a structured way of meeting, whether it's quarterly or half yearly. We call upon government to coordinate us so that we have a structured approach of how we monitor our progress, and together we can be able to drive this. So together, let us turn this strategy into success and into a legacy that we can then be proud of as a country. So thank you so much. Let's redefine Kenya's export future together. And thank you to the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, all our development partners, the key stakeholders that have been very pertinent in developing this strategy. And to all of you exporters and potential exporters, thank you so much, and we call upon you to utilize this. Let's redefine Kenya's exports future. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana. I wish to invite Tobias to invite our chief guest. This is a protocol. Tobias is looking at me. To invite our chief guest, but I hope you now have a gist of this. We'll share with you copies today, both hard copies and soft copies, so do not fret. Thank you.
Give Joyce a better hand. Now, can you ask your neighbor again, now with the presentation, what are they going to export? So with the laughter and the giggling, I think it has opened up our minds, and there are opportunities. Let's grab the opportunities and work together. Without taking much time, allow me to invite our chief guest, the PS of Industry, Dr. Juma Mukwana, to come also and speak to all of us. Let's give him a clap. Thank you.
Thank you, Tobias and your team, and all the friends in the house. I am very happy to be always back here to talk to you about industry, because that's where my passion is. So let me recognize Tobias, who's a great friend of mine, the CEO of KAM. Joyce is always on my case. And as she said, when you fight, it means there is an interest in that relationship. So I think there's something. Tali from UNIDO, the DI, Michael, who just stepped out, Hirosh, Florence from KROBA, and everyone, good morning. For me, first of all, I'm very impressed with the age that I see in this room. I think we are talking to the right age, because it starts there, that we are talking to people that are aspiring for a future that is different from the one that we have here. So when I look at today, it's like a football match. If you imagine, you are more familiar with KROBA and the AFC. These two teams have been playing, and 45 minutes have elapsed, and now we have gone back to instruct the team for the next half match. Talking to each other here is, how have we performed? We have played the match, we have made some gains, we have seen some weaknesses. Some players have done very well. Some players have even missed to give us a goal when they were given a penalty. So now we are instructing you the next half match. How do we do it so that we really leverage our strengths, our energies, and our skills? And I think that is where we are. But before we get there, let's step back a little, and you know my story about industrialization, because we really have to put this in general context. Speaking for Kenya, speaking for Africa, I think it is good to also look back. We know that the first industrial revolution took place in the UK in 1840. That is 300 years ago. And from the UK, it spread to the rest of Europe. When the Europeans moved to the Americas, this industrialization moved with them. So today you have an industrialized Europe, you have an industrialized US, Canada. But at some point, they ran into the trouble we are running into here. When the cost of production became very high in the US, in Europe, this manufacturing relocated to somewhere else. This is how China, India, the rest of Asia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka came in to say, for us to be competitive in the European market, for us to be competitive in the US market, let's relocate this production. And that's how Asia grew its manufacturing. You can almost say that then Asia took the baton and ran away with it. So today we are trying to snatch that baton back. I think you all know how difficult that will be. I have lived and worked in the US, and I know if you look at the cost of labor, if you're paying $20 an hour or $10 an hour, and you want to bring that job back, and you produce that product, if you're not careful, you have nobody to sell to. So we can see that as industrialization grows, it also creates the problems of, are you competitive? That question must remain on your lips. Today, as we speak, as I said, industrialization visit from UK, visited Europe, visited Asia, but it has forgotten to visit Africa. So industrialization, as much as we sit here, why am I saying like that? The African continent, with 55 countries, has a population of 1.4 billion people. That is 17% of the world. But our share of manufactured products in the market, global market, is 3%. So you are 17% manufacturing at 3%. Somebody is eating your cake. So 14% somebody is eating. And so before we even quarrel here, whether we are doing well or badly, we have a challenge and we have a situation for Africa. We are now talking about the route to market. Intra-Europe trade is 70%. Intra-Africa trade, an African trading with another one, is 15%. You are doing 85% of your trade with somebody else. And all indications are that we are busy closing the border. So we sign very good agreements, but still put other non-tariff barriers. So we are not making progress. And the challenge is really for us, Africans. So today, as we sit here, this market, because I've been talking to Kenyan manufacturers, we have opened a market. But I see industry still saying, protect us. You can't have your cake and eat it. Kenya is part of the common market in the EAC. You know that from 1st of July last year, we had a tried SADC, EAC, COMESA, airlines, and these things cost money. So sometimes you have a railway development levy. I have a lot of war with Tobias. He says, oh, you know RDL. But I say, who else? South Sudan is part of us. Do they have a standard gauge rail? No. Uganda has just started. If you are going to construct infrastructure, it will cost you money. So you're paying for what is being constructed to make you more efficient, make you move your products better. So, in that space, how do we then leverage? One of the areas that we have suffered very much is investments. Because you'll hear, oh, Kenya is not a conducive investment destination. Remember, if we are not attracting new investments, we are not going to be competitive. Because the industries that we have, my knowledge of industrial history is that in any one given year, some industries will die because the technology has changed, because the owner has passed on, because there's no succession plan. But there must be new industries being born. What does that mean? Every day, I do know, every week in this country, we at least have 2 to 3 industries opening. But our media here, and I'm not blaming you, you're spending a lot of time in the mortuary, but not in the maternity wing. I know that the person being born is very young and has no history. So it's easier, you know, when somebody who has been in space dies, we say so and so has died, but you're not telling us how many have been born. So that story is not complete if we only talk about which industry is closing down without saying who is opening. Because from where I sit, we are actually opening more than we are closing. But we need, because if we continue with that story, if we all stay in the mortuary and talk about who is dying, we also discourage the investment environment. So we need to be balanced. As I've said, as we are quarreling and fighting, the lion is approaching. So if we remember that story of the lion is approaching, then it becomes very important for us. So when you look at, let me look at the few issues that we address in terms of, if you look at taxation, as I've said, our taxation is an ESG taxation. Energy. If you look at energy, we have invested quite a lot in the energy space. I agree that our energy is very expensive. And we are discussing to see how to bring it down. But I've also had opportunity to visit places where the energy was very cheap, not available. I think there is, so you go somewhere, you're told, okay, this energy is 5 US cents per kilowatt hour, but you'll be lucky to have it for 10 hours. So some of these things then is, so you have reliable energy, it's expensive. So if you look at our regional competitiveness, I think if you just look at the figure, I'm not defending anyone, but I'm saying that it's also good then as we package these messages to look at that. I have talked about infrastructure, and of course, because of our structure of government, we have this issue of double taxation, where you have the counties and you have the national government. And I think we already have an act in place. I was talking to CAM and I said, please let's work together and have an implementation framework. So as, if you look at the market, because you're talking about route to market, and the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry has worked very hard. We have opened a lot of markets. We have talked about the ESC, we have talked about the AFTA. We've just, last year we signed a trade agreement with the EU, where you can export nearly 13,000 products duty-free, quota-free to the EU. We've signed an agreement with the United Arab Emirates. We have an economic partnership agreement with the UK. I know that we were at the tail end of concluding the Kenya-US Strategic Partnership and Investment Agreement. And as Joyce put it, we are opening up the markets. But those markets are not being tapped into. The volume of trade between Kenya and the EU has not grown because we signed a new agreement. And that's exactly what I said. We behave like a factory that is closed, but the marketing department is still selling products. We are selling what we don't have. And you are the people that are going to give us that production. So really, if you look at opening markets, we've worked extremely hard. And as I've said, Kenya has always been very competitive, but we need to send the right signal to the market. And this is our half time. We know we've been here. We know what we have done rightly. We know where we have gotten wrong. And we are here for a very open conversation, because I really must thank you for the courage and the bold energy that you have for investing in Kenyan industry. Because we know that industry costs a lot of money. On the US situation, I think the Kenya government has been very clear. We have the requests that we have put on the table is the 10% tariff should be removed, because we are already negotiating and we are at the very tail end of an agreement. If there are any issues that we need to capture, then they must become part of that agreement. You already know that our CS was out in the US, and I think next week we are expecting a delegation from the US, and the agreement that we need to have is that we already have something that we are working on. So the 10% should be removed, ACOA should be extended. Those are our prayers, so that we can continue to again work in a relationship with the US, and our relationship between Kenya and the US goes beyond business. So we are friends, we are partners, and we really need to bring this to bear. As I finish, this is the question I always want to finish with, because I see a lot of young, energetic people in the room. Who is going to industrialize Africa? For some reason, and I think Mary and Joyce and everybody, and Tobias, I think we have not done proper awareness of the value of industrialization. So KROBA is here. We spend a lot of energy looking for this elusive person called investor. And sometimes we think an investor is somebody who doesn't look like you. So we spend a lot of
So Africa will only become industrialized when we remove the focus of an investor being different from us to an investor that is sitting in this room, an investor that looks like us. History is already very clear that Europe was industrialized by Europeans. America was industrialized by Americans. Hiroshi will tell you that Japan was industrialized by the Japanese.
So where do we get this foolishness that somebody else will come and industrialize for you? Where do we get the idea that Africa will be industrialized by somebody else? So we all sit here looking nervous and wondering who is going to change this ecosystem. The person who is going to industrialize Africa is you, is the African himself. The person who is going to industrialize Kenya is you. Start small. Do something. Add value. Go into macadamia. Go into avocado. Make some little oil. Make some nails. Make some barbed wire. Let's do it. Because this is your home. And remember, the role of government in this space is very clear. I come from the region of Kenya where every time I go, I'm being asked, so you are PS for industry, so how many industries have you brought? I say, that's not my business. The work of industry is for the private sector. The work of government is to be a good referee. is to give you good policies, good regulations, so that you can play in this space of industrialization. 2 weeks ago, we visited Kirinyaga, our ex-governor, Waiguru, and I was very impressed. We are putting up 8 industrial sheds under the county aggregation and industrial park. We advertised for people who want space there. We only have 8 sheds, but we caught 58 applicants. So we are now in a situation where the sheds are very few, and we have people who want to do coffee for export, avocado, rice, tomatoes. Please, let's go into that space. This is where the money is. I know for many of us, when you have, and sometimes I saw you talking about financing. You don't have to start like Mabati rolling. You can start somewhere small. If you look at how many beautiful houses we have put in the village that nobody is staying in, that is money should be an industry. So we have the money. The challenge is the priority. Is manufacturing your priority? And I've sat with industrialists while working in this space. If you go for the 10 richest people in Kenya, they are all manufacturing. So don't listen to this story. This environment is not good. We are not doing very well. The top 20 billionaires in Kenya are manufacturers. If I have sat in a private jet where I also had a bed and there was a bar there, it belonged to an industrialist. So you know, in my language, where I come from, and where Orlando comes from, usually a man can have more than 2 wives, 1 wife. And usually, the wisdom we have is that if you want to be a second wife, don't take advice from the first wife. Because she will tell you this man is very bad. But she's there. So sometimes if you listen to these people who are inside, they will tell you industry is very bad. Please don't listen to that story. This is where the billions are. Sijui kama tunaelewana? If you want to be a second wife, don't listen to the first wife. She's misleading you. We are in a very good environment. We have a very good opportunity. We have very good infrastructure. We have opened up markets. We need to tap into that market. And as government, today as we talk, we have the KIPes, the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks. We are 80% complete in Meru, in Embu, in Kirinyaga, right here in Kiambu, in Migori, in Homa Bay, in Busia, in Bungoma, in Wasingishu, in Kariza, in Machakos, in Kwale. These KIPes is like our affordable housing. We are building industrial sheds on government land. So where you would have started manufacturing by buying land, building, buying machinery, we have actually built already. For some selected value chains, we are going to put manufacturing machinery there, what we are calling common manufacturing. So you look for your raw material, you come, you process, you go, another person comes and brands. So we have a lot of opportunities, and we really want you to take advantage of this. So the county aggregation and industrial parks are for small people like you and me. If you're slightly bigger, we're also building export promotion zones. And you know, in Kirinyaga, in Sagana, again, where we have big sheds, those are for export. In Muranga, in Wasingishu, in Busia. We have also been talking about industrial sheds. We know that our story of Dongokundu has been too long, but 2 months ago, again, the government signed with Arise. So today, already we have a contractor in Dongokundu building 400 industrial sheds and another 400 in Naivasha. So I don't think that you can run out of industrial spaces. Please work on your ideas. We as government will do our best. It will not always be smooth writing, but we are saying the future of this country, the future of Africa is in the hands of young people manufacturing. The digital space, we have already talked about that. E-commerce is a big platform. We have already impressed the idea that we can source our raw materials, we can sell our products online through e-commerce platforms, and those are issues that we are already working on. So as I've said, our role is to be a good referee, to give you policies, strategies, rules, regulations, to be a good referee for you to succeed. In this space, we have a very good advantage. We have the infrastructure, we have the raw materials for most of the products. We have a market in Africa, which your government has already opened up for you. The ball is really in your court. So mine is to thank CAM again for launching of this route to market strategy that will open up new opportunities, that will make it more clear for you to export different products, to access different markets. And as government, we are working with CAM very closely, supporting their initiatives and making sure that we all succeed in this space. I thank you. I'm told I'm under arrest.
Let's clap for PS. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, PS. We appreciate your insights and your commitment. And as he was talking about US, I just remembered most of us don't know how big an economy there. And when we said somebody's eating our cake, we want to continue eating that big of the US market. And thank you for promising that you're working hard to make sure we continue accessing money from there, from those people. $29 trillion GDP, still the largest. China at only 18, not only, but at least 18. So let's still value the US. I wish to welcome the CEO to join us on stage, Mr. Tobias Alando, Florence Mukabana, please join us on stage. We want to now launch the book and then we are done. I want to invite Klaus to also join us on stage. Tally. Margaret, please join us on stage. I value your input. Please join us on stage. And I want to hand over to Silas. Silas, I think we have books here.
Thank you so much. I guess you can resume your seats.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's clap for our chief guest, PS Mkwana. He has promised to keep working with us. We clap for Tobias, Chief Executive, CAM. Let's clap for him. Also for Floyd Mukabana, Chief Executive, KROBA, and Klaus also, who's the Regional Director for East Africa for DI. And thank you to all the partners and all of you. I wish to invite Arthur Mwangi, Market Development Officer, to give a vote of thanks as we end this session officially. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. I think mine will be very, very brief, just to pass a vote of thanks. And I want to take this opportunity to, first of all, recognize everybody in this room. You braved the very cold morning session to be here by, I saw some people here by around 7:30 because of this important event. So on that note, I really want to appreciate all of you for making time to be with us for this important session of Route to Market Lounge. Please, round of applause for yourself for making time. Thank you so much. Especially, I want to take this opportunity to really thank the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry for working with us on this journey. In 2013, in 2023, during our trade and investment mission in Kinshasa, the ministry challenged the association to come up with a route to market strategy, and we are very happy to note that today that journey has begun, and we are all excited that we are launching the route to market. So a round of applause to the ministry. Thirdly, I also want to appreciate the PS Industry, Dr. Mukwana, for even putting in human resources. When we reached out to the ministry, all the department allocated staff to sit in committees, various committees, to come up with this particular document, and we are really very excited about that. Fourth, I want to really appreciate Danish Industry for putting in financial resources to ensure that this has become alive, and we are really excited. A round of applause to that. So I also want to recognize the committees that were also included members from all the trade facilitation agencies, that is KROBA. We had a staff from KROBA that was nominated to work on this particular document together with the entire committee. I also want to recognize Dr. Margaret. I also want to recognize the contribution of Can Invest, the other logistic partners that we also had was DHL Express. They also contributed immensely to the success of this particular document, and we want to really appreciate them for their contribution. A round of applause for them. Thank you so much. So lastly is also to recognize other partners that has worked with CAM on various initiatives that we have established. UNIDO for supporting the very many inputs that we have been working together with them, and we really want to acknowledge even their presence for coming today to be part of this particular session. Thank you so much. So lastly is to thank the entire CAM team that participated in this, putting up this event. Wherever you are, please come. If you're there, maybe you can stand. Some, yeah, so please round of applause for the CAM team for this. Yeah. So want to recognize another important visitor that has joined us, and at this point I want to invite Tobias to come and recognize peers. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Nelly has just arrived, so I want to invite her just to greet us and say something, because we just launched the publication, and the work around this is supporting the SME, which is in her docket. So I want to invite the PS just come and say hello to the businessmen and women. Karibu PS.
Thank you. Good morning. Let me begin by apologizing. It's not really my nature to come late to Kenya Station of Manufacturing activity. But I don't know. I looked at the program. I received the program a little bit late yesterday. And I think I saw something around 11. So I thought at 11 is when my colleague PS and I will be giving remarks. So I decided to do a few things so that then I can join you. But nevertheless, I think my colleague has spoken for the whole government. And since we subscribe to a whole of government approach, I think he has already covered probably what I would. The good thing is that we also belong in the same sector of finance and production economy. So we share a lot in terms of the expectation and then the priorities. So I think Dr. Muhwana, you have really covered us. But let me just spend maybe 2-3 minutes just by thanking the Kenya Association of Manufacturers for coming up with this strategy. This, I believe, will go a long way in boosting the manufacturing sector. I'm sure Dr. Muhwana cannot miss to express the targets that as a government we have, grow the manufacturing sector from the current, is it 7% to about 30, is it 20% by 2030. And for us to do this, we ask ourselves, who are these manufacturers that we need to support and which kind of support do they require? And from where I sit, I think manufacturers, most of them are MSMEs, so they need support. And just enabling them understand the various market, the global market, and how to navigate around it, clearing the route. It is one way of supporting the growth of the MSME sector and crowding them into the manufacturing sector. So for me, that's why when I say it's a route to market strategy, I say this one I must also attend and get myself a copy. So then I see how I start unpacking it for my MSME sector across the country. But I also want to emphasize, last week we rolled out the public participation on the MSME policy that we are reviewing. We are reviewing the MSME policy of 2020, and so we are going to have a new policy which will is taking into consideration the emerging opportunities that we are having, and which I believe that Kenya and the continent at large, we are at a very vantage point with what is happening across the world. When you see a lot of disruption in the supply chain, when you see this conversation that are happening all over the globe on multilateralism, I think the continent is best placed to take advantage of those opportunities and grow their supply capacity and their local value chain. So I think this is one area that we need to focus on, so that as others exit, we get an opportunity. So this is the right moment for Kenya, and is the right moment for us now boosting our manufacturing sector. It's also a good moment because it aligns with the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda aspiration. As you all know, we have really, we are very much dedicated supporting this sector. Our KIPES, which my colleague here, Dr. Muhwana, is in charge of, so far we're talking about 19 counties which are already ready to go. These are some of the supportive infrastructure that we are putting in place. And we've been able also to align the county governments. We're hoping that the remaining phase, we can be able to actualize this probably in the next 3 years or so. So then we start, mobilizing production across the country, and we believe that in every corner of this country, there are all unique value chain that we can explore. But even as we do this, during last week's conversation, somebody asked us, yes, we are talking about export market, but how about the local market? How about the domestic market? And she posed this question, say, who told you that your goods are needed in Europe? That question, who told you that they want to buy what you're manufacturing? Who tested it? What is this thing about emphasizing quality when it comes to export? But so who eats those which are not, quality back in the domestic? So what this lady was saying, that for us even to hit the global market, we must first of all also produce for the local market, because we are actually importing a lot. So even as we launch this route to market strategy, I haven't gone through it, but I want to believe that a big section of it is also talking about how to galvanize the local market, the domestic market. As I finalize, I just want to share one particular value chain, the edible oil value chain. We spend close to 150 billion every year to import raw materials. What are these raw materials? Groundnuts, sesame, sunflower, palm oil, all these. But now, come to groundnuts. These are traditional food value chain, isn't it? Everywhere across this country, I will say 70% of our land mass, this particular food crop can do well. If you look at the coast, you can plant coastal area, Nyanza region, Western Kenya, groundnuts can do well. You can imagine if we just committed ourselves, and that was the commitment, that in the next 5 years or so, we try to reduce the imports bill attendant to edible oil, but at least we halve it. If we can be able to retain in our local communities, in those rural areas, at least 50 billion or half of what we spend, by encouraging and boosting and mobilizing production, aggregating women, aggregating young people, and making sure that we supply them with affordable fertilizer, which the government has done, and even inputs, will be boosting, will be halving that import bill. And where will that money go? That money will remain in people's pocket. It's a huge market that you're looking into. So I want to believe come, and all our partners who have supported us. She's a very good friend of mine in Nido, and there's so much that we want to see how we can boost our industrialization across the country. You just pick such unique value chain and you see the great potential in them. I think all of us should be ready to grab this 150 billion so that it does not leave our borders. If not all, at least let's try to achieve even 50% and retain it in our people's pocket. And therefore, this route to market should also emphasize the route to domestic market. Because I came late, I'll take the punishment because I don't want to talk so much about MSME. Next time I'll come early so that I tell people about Hustler Fund, what to do, because that's lazima, isn't it? Yeah, and for many of us who thought that it was just about 500 shillings, today we launched, last year around December, we launched an enhanced product which we are calling Bridge Loan. And there now people can borrow up to 150 shillings at any given time. Now let me ask you, if you can borrow 150, you can buy fertilizer, you can buy inputs, then you can buy seeds for groundnuts, and then you can be part of the people who are going to grab the 150 billion every year. Isn't it? As many of those opinions say aye. Those contrary opinions say no. So ICE has him. But then lastly, still on Hustler Fund, allow me, lazima hivi tu tuseme kidogo, si ndio? So the 2.5 years experience that we've had, because Hustler Fund is not a bank, and I keep on telling people, but we just came in to intervene on a market failure. And the greatest market failure we had in the credit market was the fact that majority of our population could not be served in the mainstream financing sector due to lack of the hard collaterals, the lands, the title deeds, and most people are not also employed, so they don't have pay slip which they can commit someone. So we said, how do we grow an economy? Even how do we boost manufacturing sector? How do we create a reliable market when there's no purchasing power, when people cannot be trusted? So we say, let's see, is there another form of collateralization that has got a reach to each and everybody, or accessibility? People can access it, and we say, your credit behavior. Because in some economy, if your credit rating is low, even if you have cash, you cannot access anything. So we say, how do we nurture good credit behavior among our population so then they can get to be served and then also take part and help us in growing our economy. So the 2.5 years experience we've had we have crystallized the experience into a Hustler Fund behavioral credit rating. So we developed a 9-band credit score. And all those 26 million Kenyans that have benefited from Hustler Fund are all rated. Most of you are also here. I look at your faces and I know. Whether you signed up, you did not, I've rated you. So we've rated them from A1 to C3. So we have A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. Of course, with A's and B score being excellent and the C being very poor. So if a government does an exam and rates you, see, people tend to believe what we do. So now you are going to blacklist yourself. So we need now Kenyans to get beholden on to their credit rating. Because in the future, I want to see how this now can replace the hard collaterals, the land, because not everybody, and because you want activity. So piece of news which I wanted to leave you with. So if someone has borrowed Hustler Fund, have breached moral hazard, and is rated that person, even the banks will ask you, what is your Hustler Fund? And if your Hustler Fund is A1, it shows a very high level of responsibility on your part. So you are going to be served more. And the risk-based financing that you've heard about, which you've been unable to crack, now we've been able to come up with an additional data that can now aid the financial institution to provide, or rather to assess fairly, to give a fair assessment on the ability of borrowing, willingness to repay to all Kenyans, especially those at the bottom of the economic pyramid. So it was not just any other job. We knew where we are headed in the future. Your credit score yako will now become your collateral. And even for manufacturers, you want to deal with people who can borrow and repay. And even for us in the future, before our daughters are engaged, we will want also to check the credit rating of the potential sons. Isn't it? Why would you want to send your daughters to someone who cannot? Are we together? Yeah, liability you are going to assess. So anyway, that is, whatever you do with that information is upon you. Please run back, dial *254 hash, see what is your rating, keep borrowing, and congratulations for this very good strategy. I look forward to working together and see how do we support our MSME and crowd as many MSMEs as we can in the manufacturing sector. Asanteni sana.
Just remain there. To the dignitaries, we just take a photo because PS was not there. We'll just retake the photo. Please come.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session. We will please allow the dignitaries to leave first, but I also want to take this opportunity to encourage you. If you get one, kindly use the QR code that we have shared on the screen, scan, acquire the document, then you can also be able to share your colleagues, your friends, as partners. Thank you very much for coming. We really love you. We are excited you came. We also want to encourage you to continue partnering with us as you also. We want to wish you all the best for the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
So for 2025, we remain committed to drive
Chef Naturals has benefited in very many ways since we became members of Kenya Association of Manufacturers in 2019. But I'd like to pick at least about 2 or 3 things that we have benefited very much from come about. So the first one is involving ourselves in capacity building trainings and consistently just signing up for anything that comes up in CAM. So one of the ones I would really want to pick out was the project that we took part in, that was the SME Innovation Program, which was supposed to encourage SMEs to fight the effects of COVID-19. And we went through an 8-month program which trained us across all kinds of areas that our business would be dealing with, starting from HR, going into supply chain management, going into sales and marketing, strategy, and all those kind of things. One of the things we really benefited from was the ways of sales and marketing that would enhance our business. And from that, immediately we embarked on a marketing strategy that has really helped the business be able to recover from what we'd suffered within the COVID period. In terms of exhibitions, starting from our very own local Changamka Festival that happens across the regions. Lately, we just had the Nairobi edition, which we participated in. Through that, we are able to meet different clients, some new, others that have been part of our brand for a while. And that helps us to be able to continue speaking about our products and giving different ways of people interacting with our product.
When you join CAM, for instance, when we joined CAM, it was very easy. All these facilities, we needed to get our city council license. They made it very easy for us, where as a member of CAM, you have a particular people you can get to work with and who facilitate the process of getting your licenses easy. Same with Nairobi Water, same with Kenya Power. When we're having outages, we have much more prior information before, which is excellent. So basically, to work with City Council and all the nitty-gritty items that are needed, things that are needed, makes it very easy for manufacturers, all put under one umbrella. Having been a paid-up member at CAM, and by the way, I would encourage all SMEs or any other person who is a manufacturer to join CAM. And just apart from joining, I would actually encourage you to pay. Because when you're a fully paid-up member, there's so much advantages that you get, rather than just being a member of CAM, but you're not a paid-up member. So if you're a paid-up member, the advantages are humongous. They do provide different kind of trainings and opportunities to SMEs.
My name is Fatih Ismail. I'm the Managing Director of KROBA Africa Kenya Limited. We started production in 2015. We are a manufacturer of edible oil, shortening, and bar soap. CAM is our voice and our umbrella when it comes to representing the local manufacturers in Kenya. CAM has always supported the interest of the manufacturers, and it works very closely with the government bodies to facilitate and ease any issues that may occur between the manufacturers and the different governmental bodies. Through CAM, we have engaged with different governmental institutions. CAM has always informed us about the latest regulations, and policies, and helped us in how to resolve any issues. CAM also has supported us with insights that helped us understand the market and the competition, and helped us also understand the regulations in the surrounding countries, which is important for us to export to.
African Cotton Industries was formed back in the mid-50s, 1954. And we engaged in the business of the manufacture and distribution of fast-moving consumer goods. Generally, mostly on tissue and tissue paper products. And then we have cotton wool. And then we have sanitary towels for the ladies. Kenya Association of Manufacturers has played in supporting the brand's growth and enhancing visibility. Changamka Festival, we have been participating in the Changamka Festival both in Nairobi and Mombasa, and we have seen discernible results from it. First benefit is that it gives us an opportunity to have a face-and-face engagement with customers. Changamka gives an opportunity to recruit new customers. We are able, people who come around shopping, we are able to meet, and then they know our products. We market our products to them, and we have seen that this has enhanced demand of our products.
As a membership business organization, we have a strong complement of related skills in terms of the staff who have various skills to support our membership. So we value that skill set that we have. We'll have a high-level session to look at the manufacturing outlook for 2025, and then launch our MPA, Manufacturing Priority Agenda, through that conversation. We remain committed to our purpose, which is creating prosperity for our nation through sustainable industrialization. By the end of the day, we want to see a competitive environment for our manufacturing sector, both locally and regionally. So for 2025, we remain committed to drive the agenda of promoting local manufacturing and to see a lot of industries grow and scale.